Rev up your engine! Today we're under the big top, my giant beach umbrella, because it's raining, and I'm going to show you how you can find where oil is leaking from in your car. Now, in the past, finding oil leaks was a really messy, pain in the rear end job. You'd find the oily area, and in this case it's the whole front of the engine. It's all oily here. Then you'd have to clean it off with degreaser. An absolutely no fun job. Let it dry, then drive the car and see where the new leaks are coming from. Not a fun process. I'm lazy. I don't want to do all that work. I don't like cleaning anyways. I hate cleaning stuff. I'm not even going to clean it off to find this leak, because thanks to the miracle of fluorescent dye, I just put a little bit of this oil into the engine oil and let it run for 10-15 minutes. Since this is engine oil, we'll go to the oil cap, take it off, and pour a little UV oil in. Whee! You don't need much. Then we start her up and let it run for 10-15 minutes. Plus, if it's a really slow leak, take it on a highway. Get it going 60 for 10-15 minutes. Then bring it back and you'll be able to see that dye. And to make it easier to see, you put on these yellow glasses, ultraviolet lights. This is a multi-function light. This is the ultraviolet ones here, kind of blue tinted stuff. Now here's how it works. I spilled a little bit of the dye here. When I get the yellow sunglasses and put them in front of the camera here, it's now a cool camera with shades. Now you see everything's tinted yellow, and when we shine it on, you can see this stuff glowing. As you can see now, you can see that little green glow there. See, you can see it glowing where the dye comes out. So you look for that green. Then you put the yellow glasses back on your head and get the ultraviolet light and start looking around to see where the green's coming from. And in this case, it's not good news. It's leaking from the head gaskets and the main crank seal. It's throwing oil all over the place, from the middle of the engine where the head gasket is and from the seal on the crankshaft. Now in the case of this car, it's a 14-year-old Mercedes V8. So the beginning of the endless money pit scenario Mercedes has already begun. Customer isn't planning on keeping the car all that long. Taking apart the engine, rebuilding it, replacing all the seals in the head gaskets. She's not going to spend those thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to fix where the leak's coming from. We know where it's coming from now. I'm going to put all this AT205 reseal. It can rejuvenate seals. It's worth a try. It's not going to hurt anything. It's just a polymer. There's no solid particles. You just pour it in the engine oil. Take the cap off, in goes the whole bottle. Then you run the engine to circulate it. Now the advantage of using this UV fluorescent dye is obvious. You don't have to clean up the other stuff. The wind's going to blow oil back when you're going forwards. Gravity's going to pull it down. It can go all over the place. With the dye, you can follow the green up to where it starts and know exactly what's leaking. Now granted, it's not one size fits all. There's ultraviolet dye for engine oil, for transmission oil, for power steering oil. There's a special one you can put in the cooling system. It's different than this one, but they make it for cooling systems. So you can put it in the cooling system if you have a leak. They even make an ultraviolet dye you can stick in a gas tank, because gasoline leaks can sometimes be really hard to find. You can smell them, but you can't see them. You'll be able to see them when you put ultraviolet fluorescent dye in. Wherever it's leaking, you're going to see the green coming out. Personally, I always hated looking for oil leaks, because the process of cleaning them all off was a pain in the butt. Then trying to decide, okay, here's some drips, but where are they coming from? Now, you know immediately whether it's something that you want to fix, something you want to live with, or something that says, time to say goodbye to this car. No more guessing. Is this leaking? Is that leaking? Is it something that's serious? Is it something that I can live with? You use an ultraviolet fluorescent dye in any of your oil systems and you'll know exactly where the leak's coming from. And as my father taught me years ago when I was learning how to fix cars in a corner Texaco gas station, don't stop when you find the first leak. There can be numerous leaks, especially in something like this Mercedes that's got 120,000 miles and is 14 years old. Because in the past, if you saw an obvious oil leak coming out, it's squirting out, okay, you fix it and think that's it. There could be a lot of other hidden leaks. This is going to find all the leaks so you can make a real diagnosis of where all the oil's coming from and not keep coming back saying, well, we missed that one, there's another one, la la la. Because correct diagnosis of a problem is one of the most important things when it comes to fixing cars. And if using something as simple as a little fluorescent dye and a few minutes of looking around can find the problem, I say, thank goodness somebody invented this stuff. Because let's face it, people are visual creatures. If you can actually see a problem, you're going to be able to comprehend it all that much easier. And of course, the entire process, hunting for it, instead of having to clean it all off, just pouring the leak dye in and seeing where the green dye comes out, that's faster by far than even just cleaning the car up alone. And since they come in so many different configurations, this one's for air conditioning systems, you can check most systems for leaks quickly and efficiently and accurately, just using a little ultraviolet fluorescent dye. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Yippee Martin says, if we need to park our car with the engine on for a long time, like 30 minutes, do we need to put the car in N or P or the same? I normally put it in neutral. Will it hurt my automatic transmission? As long as your cooling system is working. Realize that the transmission cooler is built into the radiator in most cars. So as long as the radiator's running normal, that'll keep the transmission from overheating. It's not the greatest idea to sit in the car idling for 30 minutes. You can overheat your catalytic converter. Now the catalytic converter gets hot to burn the hydrocarbons off. As you're driving down the road, that thing's air cooled. You're going 60 miles an hour. There's 60 miles an hour air going over that catalytic converter, keeping it from getting too hot. When you're just sitting there idling, no, you can get problems from the catalytic converter. So it's not a good idea to let a car sit idling for 30 minutes for any reason whatsoever. Roll the windows down if you're getting hot or whatever, but just sitting there with it idling over long periods of time is not a good idea. Especially like if you're sitting in a field or something, sometimes they'll get hot enough they'll start the field on fire. So not a good idea to just sit there idling. They weren't made for that. Transmission, like I said, if it runs normal, won't hurt that, but it can really make the catalytic converter get really hot. And I've seen customers that have done stuff like that, doing it for years. The catalytic converters are just burnt out. When I take them out, I can see they're all melted inside. Well, here's some interesting news. If you own a Toyota Prius, you better make sure you try to protect your catalytic converter. Turns out that thieves are stealing them off of Priuses because they have the most amount of precious metals on them and they get the most money if they sell a Prius one. It's a electric hybrid gas engine. The gas engine is used a bit less. They stay pure and they realize that people are going to pay them more money for one of these used converters off of a Prius. Now, they do offer these kits that you can put on, that you cover it up with so people can't easily cut them off and take them off. And on these Priuses, sometimes it can cost you up to $2,500 to replace these catalytic converters. There are thieves out there. Every day I see it in Houston. Somebody has them stolen. They bring torches. They just cut them off, take your catalytic converter, and they get money for them. The problem is, it's kind of illegal for people to buy these stolen ones. So obviously somebody somewhere is buying these things when they're not supposed to. You're not legally allowed to take a catalytic converter to one of these scrap metal places and have you pay them for them. So there's obviously a lot of stuff under the table that's going on with it. But if you do own, especially a Prius, people are stealing them a lot now. These converters contain palladium, platinum, and rhodium. They're all precious metals that they can get money for. And like I said, technically it's illegal for a recycler to buy one of these things, but obviously someone is. Or they have paperwork where they say they're legally buying them from salvage lots or something, but obviously people aren't just cutting them up for fun. Somebody's buying these things. If you own a Prius, or really any other car that's got a big catalytic converter, you might have one of these little protective things put on so they're harder to steal. Kylie82 says, Scotty, I know you say Hondas are particular about their automatic tranny fluid, but I got a 2010 Toyota. Should I use Toyota? Can I use any of these generic brands? In modern cars, and that's 10 years old, it's modern enough, is stick with a fluid that they were made with. Especially when it's a transmission like Toyota that's notorious for not having problems. I always try to learn as much as I can. But I've contacted these companies numerous times. I even had personal meetings when they invited me to stuff. And I keep asking them, okay, what's in your fluid? What are the additives? And they say, that's a patent. We aren't going to tell anybody what we actually put in our transmission fluid. So you never know what the actual additives are. You know what the basic fluid is, but you don't know what additives they put in. Like with Toyota, hey, every time I change a Toyota, now I get the Toyota bottle, and I can get that stuff for like $5 a quart. What do I care? They only take 3 quarts. Buy the Toyota stuff. No one knows what the additives are other than the people that make it, and they're not going to tell you. Same thing with gasoline. In the United States, all the major brands, they work pretty well in most cars, but their additives are different, and they won't tell you what the additives are. So if you have one that works and you like it, stick with it. And in that case, stick with the OEM, just about any car that's made these days. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.